for gold.
This is the second in a series of reports that we're going to be having. The first one, of course, in the year, or representing the year 2021 from last year, talking about the banking sector, the financial services sector, and the experience of customers post-consumption. Well, this year, we're going to be contemplating from last year the continuum of cumulative experiences of customers in dealing with Ghana's 23 banks. Now that everybody is talking about a second round of DDEP and all of that, the banking sector is in the fray again. But how have they been performing by way of services? That is why we're here this evening. I've already introduced our dignitaries to you, and I would just reserve special commendation for our chairman, and I'm going to introduce him to you shortly. He has a proven executive management track record for over 2 decades, driving corporate growth programs across various functional areas in the financial services sector. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Association of Banks. Before joining the Ghana Association of Banks, he was managing partner of Jiwa & Co. Advisors, a financial services consulting firm. He is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, with several years of post-qualification senior management experience. He holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree from the University of Cape Coast and an MBA from the Oxford Brookes University in the United Kingdom. He has previously worked with the Universal Merchant Bank as the Chief Executive Officer. He has also held senior leadership positions as Finance Director at GCB Bank, Group Chief Finance Officer at EcoBank Capital, Financial Controller at Barclays Bank Ghana, now ABSA, Chief Finance Officer at UBA Ghana, and as Finance Business Partner at Standard Chartered Bank Ghana with industry exposure from Tractor and Equipment Ghana, now Mantrac, and Western Castings Limited. He has a broad knowledge in investment banking and has been part of many landmark deals from his time at EcoBank Capital and as Managing Director of UMB Bank. As for the boards and national committees he serves on, Mr. Atia Nimwie, but I'll just mention a few. He is Council Member, Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, Council Member, Ghana Association of Banks, Board Member, Radiance Pharmacy, Legacy Bonds, Hillbill Company, Liquidity Investments Limited, Jiwa & Co. Advisors, Ghana Association of Banks, the GAEB Health Insurance Company Limited, Atlas Commodities Limited, and many more. Like I said, if I want to continue with this, I will never end. But it just tells you about the rich experience our chairman for tonight's event has. He is no other person than a little bit of suspense. Mr. John Ewa, our chairman for this august event. Mr. Ewa, please, we'd love to hear a few remarks from you. The clapping has stopped already. Hey! Thank you, sir.
That's very long, eh? Thank you very much for that introduction. On behalf of the Association of Banks and on my own behalf, I'm personally grateful for CIMG's ask of me to chair this short but very important launch event. We all know what customer service means, particularly when we talk about the banking industry, given that we are a service-driven industry. And as banks, on our own, we've been conducting our own customer service surveys. And I remember when we were contacted that there is the need to have benchmark so we could compare Bank A to Bank B on certain standardized metrics. And I said, that is a fantastic idea. The import of this is, as we move on, we should be able to compare customer service standards from the banking system to, say, the telcos, to, say, the FMCGs, and other sectors. So we know which industry or sector is more customer-centric and giving proper customer experience to their clients. We all know that customer service, if you do it well and customers get stuck to you, the rest, is just, on your bottom line. You get the benefit right on your bottom line. So it's important that as banks, we attach so much importance to this. And I remember when we had last week a snippet view of what we are going to see today. I realized that as banks, we still have a lot of way to go. There are areas, and we take very positive feedback from research work such as this, because that's the only way you can improve your conduct. Sometimes when you are in the middle of it, you don't know exactly what the perception out there is. And it's important that as banks, we look ourselves in the mirror from the perspective of banks, of customers, and also from some standardized service benchmarks that we can compare our members from Bank A to Bank Z. So without talking too much, I know that a lot of the work is yet to be done. The launch event itself is going to be done. That will take us through the report. We will make sure we don't spend too much time here. We have rich, crisp, short, but very informative launch event. Again, on my own behalf, I wish to thank you for this opportunity, and I wish all of us a very good evening. Thank you.
We can do much better for our chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Iwa, for accepting to chair this event for us. I'll just share this, especially as we're talking about services in the banking sector. We've come very far, haven't we? From the days when people would want to put their money under their mattresses and everything, dig the ground and put it in there. Do I hear that people are thinking of that nowadays? And I must say bonds, Anyway, I'll leave it there. I went into this bank one weekend. It was a Saturday banking, in my shorts and a t-shirt and all of that. I noticed that the treatment was very different from usually when I go there after work with my suit and tie and everything. And I asked myself, what's going on? So the next time I went to the same person in a suit and tie, the person was like, oh, it is you. I'm saying, aye, it is I. Those are the things we're talking about here tonight at the Coconut Grove Hotel as we look at Ghana's Customer Satisfaction Index report with a focus on the financial sector. Here we proceed to the very next segment as we take a message, an address from the national president of the CIMG in the person of Dr. Daniel Kasa. Please, let's put our hands together for him.
Thank you. The chairman for the night, Mr. John Ewua, CEO of the Ghana Association of Banks, patrons, fellows, governing council, and members of the CIMG, members of the technical committee, made up of representatives from all 23 universal banks in Ghana, our 3 media partners, the Multimedia Group, Business and Financial Times, and the Corporate Guardian magazine, media men and women, ladies and gentlemen, and our teeming virtual audience and those following us on television. Good evening to you all. It is my great pleasure and excitement. It is with great pleasure and excitement that I extend to you greetings from the CIMG and a warm welcome to the official launch of the much-awaited Ghana Customer Satisfaction Index Report 2022, the second of its kind in Ghana. Let me first of all apologize to all patrons of the GH CSI report, many of whom have been calling the Institute to inquire about when the next report will be ready. I must say that this study was conducted in the last quarter of 2022 with the hope of launching the report before June this year. When the report was ready, we had discussions with our main stakeholders being the Ghana Association of Banks, of which all bank MDs are members. The banks at the time were very busy on an important national issue, which was to adversely affect the banking industry, and that is the Domestic Debt Exchange Program, DDEP. It was therefore agreed for us to delay the launch until the storm was over. As you would agree with me, the effects of the DDEP on the financial performance of banks for the full year of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023 for some of them was huge and devastating. Thank God they have survived it and returned to profitability largely. As you may recall, the CIMG in 2021 embarked on a journey to establish a standard customer satisfaction index for Ghana, as it is done in most advanced markets around the globe. The exercise gave birth to the successful launch of the first ever Customer Satisfaction Index in Ghana for 2021. In that maiden study, the banking industry of Ghana scored 95% service quality, which was deemed to be low for financial services. That score was the average of the topmost 5 performing banks on service quality, a criterion that was agreed upon by all key immediate stakeholders. And it was also agreed for us to continue to use this yardstick in our future studies on service quality. Mr. Chairman, I am glad to announce that we have been able to expand the study a notch further to cover business banking as well, unlike the maiden edition that covered only consumer banking. By this, we collected and analyzed separate data for consumer banking and business banking. We will therefore be outdooring a report of 2 studies tonight. Notwithstanding this, the index for the year 2022 will be based on the consumer banking scores, as was the case last year and as is the practice elsewhere. Mr. Chairman, there were complaints from some banks last year that the focus of their operations was more tilted towards business banking as opposed to consumer banking, and so, in their view, the results for their institutions was not a good reflection of their performance. For such banks, we now have the 2 reports. Please feel free to use the one that reflects your business better, but we beg of you to also take steps to address concerns from the other side. This is because service quality excellence should be institutionalized and made available to all clients without discrimination across business segments. Mr. Chairman, consumers of this report, particularly the banks, must learn how to put the results to be announced tonight to good and prudent use. They should first look beyond the positions on the various tables to identify how they fared for each of the 5 dimensions of service quality, overall customer satisfaction, and either of the 2 dimensions of customer loyalty. They should indeed juxtapose their performance in each area to the customer's indication of how important that particular dimension was or is to them, including the individual questions for the survey. Such an exercise will reveal to them areas where they may be unnecessarily strong and areas where they need to truly improve their performance on. They may then see the need to re-strategize, reallocate resources, and channel their energies to more pressing areas. Mr. Chairman, I will end this message by appealing to each of the 23 universal banks to subscribe to this report, as the findings will be very useful in shaping their decisions and actions on the 3 important study variables of service quality, customer satisfaction, and customer loyalty, and their individual and combined effects on bank performance. It is an established fact, Mr. Chairman, that high service quality promotes customer satisfaction, which in turn aids in shaping customer behavioral intentions by way of loyalty and guarantees positive financial consequences on both the income statements and balance sheets of all organizations. Besides this all-important measure, each bank will also be able to determine how they performed against their immediate peers on the one hand, and the best in class for their industry on the other, as well as the industry averages. Mr. Chairman, permit me to express my deepest gratitude to the dedicated team of experts who have painstakingly worked on this report. Their expertise and commitment to delivering accurate and insightful information is evident in this report, and I am confident that it will serve as a valuable resource for the regulator, management of banks, including providers of related services within the larger financial services sector of Ghana. I also wish to thank the Governing Council and the General Assembly of the Ghana Association of Banks, especially their CEO, Mr. John Ewua, who graciously agreed to chair this function as well. October is around the corner, and we will be hitting the road again to start data collection for next year's report. We count on the usual cooperation of all banks, especially the technical committee members, to help facilitate this exercise once more. On this note, Mr. Chairman, let me conclude by wishing each one of the 23 banks the very best of luck as we await the findings for the GHCSI 2022. And I, on behalf of the Governing Council and entire membership of the CIMG, thank you all for making the time to join us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kasa. I know for you, the banks, this is going to be like your report card when it comes to service, and you are waiting with bated breath. And this is where the work you have done, good or bad, will show. There's no perfect institution. So having set that premise for the conversation, customer satisfaction, leading, of course, to customer loyalty, we're now going to proceed from there to take a sneak peek, if you like, at the report for 2022. And this is going to be a presentation by the CEO of Consumer Insights Consult Limited, in the person of Dr. Irenaeus Gundona. Doc, please. Thank you very much. I may have butchered Doc's name slightly, but he's promised not to go after me, so I think I'm safe. Doc, over to you.
You are safe. All right. Thank you, Benjamin, and thanks for the opportunity to present the customer satisfaction index report for 2022. I was told that it's a bit blurry and that the lights would go a bit off here so that we... Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So, just by way of context, although Dr. Kasati alluded to it in his opening remarks, and as you are all aware, the Chartered Institute of Marketing commissioned a baseline to establish the CIMG Customer Satisfaction Index for 2021, which was later referred to as the Ghana Customer Satisfaction Index for consumer banking. So what we are about to see is a follow-up of the 2021 Customer Satisfaction Index. However, for this year, we are doing wave 2 for consumer banking and a baseline for business banking. So we'll be looking at two reports. One will be a bit comparative, the other one will just be a snapshot. With regards to objectives, they were a bit aligned with what we did for 2021. So we measure the levels of service quality, customer satisfaction, customer loyalty for banking services. Then the second thing was to compare the results or the level of service quality, customer satisfaction, and customer loyalty between 2021 and then 2022. We measure the NPS as usual. Again, we have some comparative data to show you how overall as an industry we performed, and also as individual banks we performed in terms of 2021 and 2022. Then we would look at the almighty index for 2021 as it compares to 2022. Why is this not picking up? Okay, I mean, we have stakeholders again. So universal banks are our stakeholders, the regulators, we have customers, the general public, the media, and then GAP. These are our stakeholders. Okay, in terms of the research design, I would spend a bit more time here. This year, we had what we call the mixed mode approach to data collection. Last year, what we did was a bit face-to-face, but this year we had the mixed mode, where we did online, intercept, face-to-face, and then telephone interviews. Now, the telephone interviews were based on we did it for the business to business customers. On the whole, we had 3,300 consumer customers, but for business banking, we had 2,200 customers were interviewed for business banking. We looked at people who were age 18 and above that we talked to, and you need to have an existing, you need to be an existing customer of a universal bank who has an active account. You must have transacted business with the bank 3 months prior to the survey. So that was a key thing. Now, for the business to business, you need to be a key decision maker before you were interviewed, because we wanted people who were key decision makers within the organization. So those are people we talked to. And then the interviews were conducted between October to December 2022. So I'll just share the key highlights now. I'm sure that's what we are all waiting for. So we are now going to look at consumer banking. And for consumer banking, we are going to look at the levels of service quality and then customer satisfaction. So for consumer banking, we first of all look at the profile. Who did we talk to? The profile of people we talked to. So you see it was predominantly male. You can see 70% of the people we talked to were male. They were very educated, or should I say they were people who were educated, not very educated, because I had only 1% who didn't have any education at all. They were, if you look at it, a bit youthful. I would say youthful because if you look at 21 to 40%, that's where majority of them were. They were pretty youthful. They operated what we call savings account predominantly. And if you look at their income, the mean income level was around 3,000. Then, quite interesting, 30% of them is what we would classify as traditional banking. I will go into that shortly. Traditional banking, and then 18% were remote banking. And people who did traditional and remote banking was 52%. They operated both. Okay, so this now takes traditional banking. And by traditional, what do we mean by traditional banking? The operational definition we gave for traditional banking were customers who visit the bank to have their transactions done. So that leg visit. So we classify it as traditional banking. So we look at the level of service quality for traditional banking. So it was based on what we did last year, which was based on the self-path model by Crony and Taylor, 1992. So we had the 5 dimensions. We had liability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, and then tangibles. So those were the 5 dimensions that we used to assess the level of service quality. And the definitions are there. We also developed what we call the star rating, which you'll be seeing when I enter into the main results. So it ranges from 1 star to 5 star, depending on the scores that you get. So if a bank scored between 91 to 100%, we classify 5 star. If you scored between 0 to 50%, it was 1 star. If you scored between 71 to 80%, was 3 star. So when you see me, when I get into the results and I'll start saying, you will just be hearing 5 star, 6 star, You should know these are the scores that actually relates to the ratings when it comes to the star scores. So, we look at what we call tangibles, which is also part of the 5 dimensions that are earlier on mentioned. So you can see all the banks had 5-star in terms of tangibles. Now, tangibles just refer to the aesthetics of the banks. You know, all the banks are doing quite well when it comes to how they do the necessary arrangements. However, when we compare the data to 2022, 2 banks decline. They decline in their scores, but they still maintain their 5-star ratings. And this is something that you would pick up through the report. You would see that some banks marginally decline, but they still maintain their ratings. Some dropped in the ratings, and where I have to do the emphasis, I will let you know. So just 2 banks dropped in there. So we have EcoBank and SG Bank. They dropped in their scores, but they still maintain their 5-star ratings. It takes me to reliability. When you look at reliability, 18 banks had 5-star. 4 banks had 4-star. That's first FNB Bank, BOA, SG, and then EcoBank. However, if you look at the results, you compare them to 2021, 4 banks declined from their ratings. And again, although some declined, only 2 banks declined from their star ratings. So you see that EcoBank and SG Bank were 5-star when it came to reliability in 2021. But 2022, they dropped to 4-star. Whereas the other 2 banks, they declined marginally, but they still maintain their 5-star ratings. It's pretty slow, but we'll get them. Then we come to responsiveness. When you look at responsiveness, 16 banks had 5-star. 4 banks had 4-star, and then 2 banks had 3-star. We compare the data to, it's pretty slow, but we'll get it. Point, where's the computer? Okay, it's come, responsiveness, sorry about that. So you have 6 banks actually declining in terms of their ratings when you compare it to 2021. However, you would see for EcoBank, again, they had 5-star 2021. They've dropped to 3-star. SG Bank, 5-star 2021, they've dropped to 3-star. Zenith Bank, 5-star, they've dropped to 4-star in 2021. But the other banks, although they declined, but they still maintain their 5-star status. It's something that they need to pick up. It's a bit worrying, but they need to pick up. It takes us to assurance. For assurance, 20 banks had 5-star for 2022. Only 2 banks, which is Zenith and then EcoBank, had 4-star. When we look at the data, look at the comparative analysis again, 2022, 2021, you would see that 7 banks declined, but only EcoBank dropped from 5-star to 4-star. But again, there was a decline, but it was marginal. It didn't affect their star ratings, but something again that I think they should have a second look at. It takes us to sorry, it's not from you.
So we'll try to rectify this. It may be from the projector, so let's just stay calm. This will be worked out pretty quickly, and Doc will continue with the presentation.
Thanks to the technical team for bringing me back on stream. So for empathy, 15 banks had 5-star, 7 banks 4-star. When you look at the comparative data that we have, 6 banks decline. Again, when you look at it again, there's a certain trend that is emerging. You see EcoBank again moving from 5-star to 4-star, and SG Bank moving from 5-star to 4-star. Then we look at the industry. when it comes to traditional banking. What is happening within the industry? You will see the industry, although some banks experience some decline, but there was actually an increase in terms of the industry service quality measure from 90% for 2021 to 2022. There was a 5% increment. And you look at all the indicators went up. When you take reliability, 2022 compared to 2021, there was an increment. You take tangibles, it was an increment. Responsiveness, assurance, empathy, all had some increment, which impacted the overall industry performance of 5% increment that we are seeing. Now, overall service quality measure score by banks, you would see that 19 banks, banks had 5-star. Only 3 banks had 4-star when it comes to overall service quality measure score for 2022. Now, let's compare it to what happened in 2021. So again, 4 banks dropped in terms of their overall quality measure score. But who are those who dropped in terms of star performance? Again, EcoBank overall. So their scores on each of the dimensions has impacted on overall service quality score. So they moved from 5-star to 4-star, and so was SG Bank. You see, Zenith Bank, although they dropped their score marginally, but they still maintain their 5-star performance. So that takes us to the customer satisfaction bit of the study. So overall, customer satisfaction score for 2022 is 95% for traditional banking. When you look at it compared to 2022, there's a marginal increment of 1% in terms of the level of satisfaction. When we disaggregate the data by the individual banks, this is what we see. We see that 21 banks had 5-star when it came to overall customer satisfaction. Only 1 bank had 4-star. But don't be excited by 21 banks having 5-star in terms of their customer satisfaction. When you actually compare the data to 2021, 7 banks declined in their scores, although they maintained their 5-star performance, but they actually declined in their scores. So this is something that I think, although I'm still 5-star, but when I look at my scores, I should still be a bit worried that I've declined compared to 2021, although I still maintain my rating, which is between 91% to 100. So it's something that you can still pick and then do a deep dive to see what is actually happening. So this takes us to remote banking. So what we just look at was what we call traditional bank, which I said was the leg visit, those who go to the bank to actually transact business. So what we're about to see now is what I would term as remote banking. And by remote banking are customers who perform transactions on their devices, so your laptop, cell phone, tablets, and the rest. What do they have to say about our industry when it comes to the level of quality of service that we deliver to them? So we are going to look at level of service quality. So for remote banking, we actually added 1 dimension, which was ease of use, because we wanted to find out what is the level of service quality that we deliver when it comes to ease of use of that particular service. So that dimension was added. So we have 6 instead of 5 when you compare to traditional banking. So we have what we call tangibles or aesthetics, if you would want to mention. So you can see only 13 banks had 5-star when it comes to remote banking. 7 banks 4-star, and then 1 bank had 3-star. Let's compare to 2021 and see what happened. 7 banks declined in terms of aesthetics or tangibles. And you can see, again, EcoBank dropping from, dropped from 5-star to 4-star, SG to 3-star, Fidelity to 4-star, and then UBA to 4-star, and then you have First Atlantic Bank dropping to 4-star. So when it comes to remote banking, which has to do with technology, I think we still have a bit of a way to go. Then we look at the level of reliability of the service that we deliver when it comes to remote banking. It was only 8 banks that have had a 5-star. 4 banks had 4-star, as much as 6 banks had 6-star, and then 2 banks had 2-star. So again, you can see a certain trend emerging when you compare traditional banking. You will see that our performance when it comes to remote banking is something that we need to work on as an industry. So when you compare the results, see, as much as 9 banks declined when you look at their scores comparatively compared to 2021. Ease of use, 12 banks, 5-star, 6 banks, 4-star, 3 banks, 3-star. Let's look at comparative data. Ease of use, as much as 7 banks decline. We go to level of responsiveness. 10 banks had 10-star, 5 banks 5-star, 4 banks 4-star, 2 banks 2-star. I don't know how that worked out, but it's quite interesting. We compare the data to 2021. We have 8 banks declining. You see, CBG Bank declining from 5-star to 2-star in terms of their level of responsiveness when it comes to remote banking. It's something that is a bit of worry. You take Fidelity, 5-star, and they've declined to 3-star. UBA, they've declined to 4-star. So these are things that we need to look at when it comes to remote banking. We look at the level of empathy when it comes to remote banking. You can see 10 banks had 5-star. Then 4 banks had 4-star, 5 banks had 3-star. We do the comparative analysis when it comes to empathy. 6 banks decline. Again, you can see the level of decline. CBG again, from 5-star to 2-star. We have CalBank from 5-star to 3-star. Fidelity from 5-star to 3-star. UBA 4-star to 3-star. So the level of decline is not only based on the scores, but it affected their star performance in terms of remote banking. So we go to security and assurance. We had 12 banks that had 5-star, 6 banks 4-star, and then 3 banks had 3-star. Let's compare between 2021 and 2022 to come up soon. Here it is. So 7 banks decline overall. So again, see CBG declining from 5-star to 4-star. Omnibank from 5-star to 3-star. Fidelity same, and then UBA same. And then StanChart didn't quite do well, but there's an improvement. You can see StanChart and Stanbic Bank doing relatively well, remarkably well in terms of their scores. That takes me to look at the industry when it comes to remote banking. It was actually a decline in terms of remote banking. So it looks like we still need to do a lot of investments when it comes to remote banking, the level of technology, to increase the level of experience that people have of remote banking, to actually stop the leg visits, which the banks would benefit from. So you look at all the indicators, the decline. It was only empathy and ease of use that were relatively stable when you compare the data between 2021 and 2022. And that is a big worry as an industry that we need to look at. Okay. So you look at overall service quality measure for remote banking. So 10 banks had a 5-star mark, 8 banks 4-star, and then 3 banks had 3-star. We look at the comparative data. You look at it, as much as 10 banks, when it came to overall service quality measure, as much as 10 banks declined when it came to remote banking. And that is a serious worry for the industry that we need to look at. And again, I don't want to mention names, but you can see those who declined from 5-star to 3-star, 2-star, and to 1-star. So we look at overall satisfaction when it comes to remote banking. It was 88. Was it relatively stable when we compare to 2021? Let's see what comes up. Okay, so when you compare to 2022, you see that there's a industry decline in terms of the level of customer satisfaction, which tells you that the level of service that they receive was not too good. So overall, as an industry, it's impacted on it. Whereas when you compare that to traditional banking, where we saw a growth of 5%, we also saw an increment on the level of customer satisfaction. Then you come to remote banking, you can see the indicators. There's a decline, which has impacted on the overall level of satisfaction as an industry. So you can see the 11 banks, 5-star, 3 banks had 4-star, 5 banks had 3-star, and 2 banks had 2-star. Look at the comparative data. 8 banks declined in overall customer satisfaction. Instead of seeing a level of appreciation, we are experiencing a decline. And I think this is something that we need to pick up. Okay. So that takes us to what we call customer loyalty. And for customer loyalty, we looked at 2 dimensions, which are the behavioral and emotional loyalty. So behavioral and emotional loyalty based on the top 2 boss scores. So you would see for behavioral loyalty was 84%, and then for emotional 78%. As an industry was 81%. Then for 2022, 7 banks, when it came to behavioral loyalty, had 5-star. Another 7 banks had 4-star. 6 banks had 3-star, and then 2 banks had 2-star. For 2022 emotional, we had only 1 bank had 5-star, and that is quite worrying. And then we have 6 banks having 4-star, 13 banks 3-star, and then 2 banks had 2-star. We look at the comparative data. Of this overall customer loyalty for 2022. So you have only 1 bank that had it. And then when we compare the data, 5 banks declined, and you can see the decline. For this, it was quite relatively stable. So you didn't, although the decline, it didn't impact on their star rating. So that's why you don't see any of that there. Then we come to the almighty NPS scores, and you all know how this is calculated. This is based on detractors, passives, and then promoters. And for you to establish the NPS scores is actually your promoters minus your detractors. So the 7 and 8 doesn't count. It makes a bit of noise in the data, but that is quite okay. So we look at the findings for 2022. So look at 2022. You see Access Bank, when we did the calculation, came on top in terms of the net promoter score, followed by Fidelity and Stanchart. Let's look at the data when we disaggregate it. So these are the NPS scores for 2022. When we compare the data to 2021, you would see 5 banks declining in terms of their NPS scores. So that now takes us to the second segment of our presentation, which is the business banking. So for the business banking, you will not be seeing any comparative analysis, it's just giving snapshots, so that will be a bit more quicker. So this is the profile of what we went to town with. So you would see that most of them were people who had current accounts, and then also about 74% had multi-accounts. They had several banks that they were dealing with. And then you can see the monthly income of the banks, which range from up to 500 to over 100 million, the people that we actually interviewed. And then this tells you how long they've been in business. And So look at the level of service quality and customer satisfaction for business banking. So again, we had the star ratings, which you are all familiar with. I've been talking of 5-star, 4-star, and 6-star. Okay. Then we had tangibles. For tangibles, for business banking, 16 banks had 5-star. 5 banks had 4-star, and then 1 bank had 3 stars, which was Fidelity Bank. When it comes to reliability, again, 16 banks had 5-star. 4 banks had 4-star, and then 2 banks had 3-star, which was Absa and then Fidelity. Responsiveness, again, 14 banks, 5-star, 6 banks had 4-star, and then 2 banks had 3-star. Assurance, 16 banks, 5-star, 5 banks, 4-star, 1 bank had 3-star. Empathy, 14 banks, 5-star, 8 banks had 4-star, and then 2 banks had 3-star. Then we look at the service quality score for 2020. As I mentioned, this is just a snapshot. So you see that the level of importance that our business customers place on all these indicators. So they place more emphasis on what I would call assurance and empathy. So you can see the level of importance. There's 96.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here.
Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Then reliability, responsibility, 95. However, when it comes to the actual score as an industry, 94 was assurance, and then tangibles was also 94. The rest had 92%. Overall, as an industry, the level of service quality score for business banking was 93%. Then the importance was 95%. But again, we would look at, one would disaggregate the data again by the various banks on the overall service quality score for business banking. 16 banks had 5-star. 5 banks had 4-star, and then 1 bank had 3-star. Then we come to the overall service quality measure. In terms of customer satisfaction for business banking, was 93%. Then we disaggregate the data by the various banks. Again, 18 banks had 5-star, 3 banks had 4-star, and only 1 bank had 3-star. Then we go to loyalty. In terms of loyalty, we look at behavioral loyalty and emotional loyalty. And as an industry, it came to 80%. When you look at 84% for behavioral loyalty, 77% for emotional, you do the average, it comes to 80% as an industry when it comes to loyalty. We disaggregate the data. You see behavioral loyalty, 10 banks had 5-star, compared to emotional loyalty, where only 2 banks had 5-star. It comes to behavioral, you would see 8 banks 4-star, 2 banks had 3-star, and then as much as 4 banks had 2-star. Then even for emotional loyalty, you have a bank having 1-star when it comes to their connection, their emotional connection with their customers. So this is something that they actually need to pick up. Then overall customer loyalty, you can see the 2 banks had 5-star, 11 banks 4-star, and then 4 banks had 3-star, and then another 4 had 2-star, and then 1 had this for overall loyalty. Then the NPS for business banking. I've already explained how we drive the scores for the NPS. So, you look at the NPS for business banking, and then you would see Prudential Bank, I don't know, emerging strongly first when it NPS scores. Then you have EcoBank, and then you have StanChart. No, StanChart before EcoBank when it comes to business banking. So you can see the way the results worked out. Okay. So just to recap, 2022 and 2021. For service quality, traditional banking, we saw an increment of 5% when you compare to 2021. When customer satisfaction, traditional banking also went up by 1% when you compare to 2021. However, when we come to almighty remote banking, there was a decline in both service quality and customer satisfaction industry-wise. So this is something that we need to pick and then work on as an industry and as individual banks as well. Okay, so this takes us to the CIMG CIS framework for 2021-2022. So this is just a recap of a framework. We walked you through this framework last year, but just to recap, you can see how the various dimensions feed into overall service quality, which impacts on overall satisfaction, and then customer loyalty. And this has an impact on your financials, has an impact on your market share, and then the incomes. So it's something that we need to take seriously, because there's a direct correlation between our overall service quality and the outcome in terms of financials and then market share. So we now look at our overall service quality score for 2021. The index that we established was 95%. For 2022, the index went up to 98.2%. So, based on the 2021 index of 95%, only 2 banks made the threshold, one we did in 2021. In terms of when you establish the index, looking at the overall service quality score, how many of them were able to exceed the index? Only 2 banks did that. For 2022, 3 banks exceeded the index. I think it went off the slide when the technical people were working on it. So, thank you. We would have them launch the index for this year, so thank you very much.
I believe we can do better for Dr. Gundona. He's actually taken his time to walk us through, and I think at this point, many of the representatives from the banks those here would be reflecting on Shatawale's High Life song. I know my level. I know my level. It was interesting because looking at the performance of some of the banks, it's been quite a steep fall in some of the categories, and some others are catching up. There will always be competition, so it's good. But I would want to see those who are flying sky high continue flying. Unfortunately, some of them are beginning to fall. But on that note, thank you once more, Dr. Gundona. Let's now have the launch of this report, the GHCSI 2022. And to do that, I would like to invite forward our chairperson. First off, Mr. John Ewa. Let's welcome him. Dr. Daniel Kasati. Dr. Kasati. Dr. Gundona, please. And let's also have Adam Sule, Mr. Adam Sule, Consulting Director of Education, CIMG, please.
As the MC rightly said, we know our level. So, on behalf of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, and on behalf of my colleagues here, we hereby launch the 2022 Customer Satisfaction Survey duly launched. %98 threshold, not too bad, but of course the devil is in the detail. And we have 5 banks that scored above the threshold, which is something to be proud of. We, as banks, take very good notice of this outcome, and I'm sure the banks will individually request their own reports and use that to improve on our scores going forward. So it's been launched, and I'll call on our members to now make the formal request. Muniru, you are here. I'm sure you'll be making the request this evening for that of JCB, so that our friends from the big house will know how we performed in order to improve our performance going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for coming. Let me quickly acknowledge the Ghana Association of Banks, of course, the CIMG making all of this possible, the Business and Financial Times, the Corporates, Guardians Magazine, the Multimedia Group, and all of those from the media fraternity here present. UTV, Metro TV, GH1, Star FM, GTV, and Asase Radio. Just finally, when you spoke of these surveys, of course, the Ghana Statistical Service, ISA among others, come out with their yearly reports and all of that. Do you know which entity or which group, sector, I want their services to be really looked at? The telcos. The telcos. Media Makan, Manu Bukiti. Makan. So, hopefully we can, but that can only breed better service across the board. And we, the media, we are not left out. So you come to and we too, we do you, put it there. It will help us become better. In this country, sometimes we don't like criticism, but iron sharpeneth iron. And it is when you see your brother in a comfortable lead, then you realize, hey, I have to back up. That's the only way forward. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is...
Hello, my name is Abeku Agri Santana. If there's anything that makes my life so easy, it is my bank. I love hanging out with my boys at our usual fufu joint. But even without cash, we still dey chop better with EcoBank Mobile. No matter the time of day, my bank helps me stay in touch with my beautiful wife whenever she's away. And when my beautiful wife is in town, she never misses out on her favorite TV shows because I'm able to pay up all my TV subscriptions from the comfort of my mobile phone. Whenever she has to get groceries too, my bank makes it cashless and convenient. And the part my wife loves the most is when my bank makes it possible and easy for her to shop from any part of the world without moving.
Welcome to the smart world of EcoBank. Download EcoBank Mobile from Google Play Store or the App Store and discover the smart way to bank. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Kwajo, why are you late?
Yes, Kojo. Why are you late again?
Kwajo.
Can't you talk? See, Mommy, I could lie like Amma and say I was doing my homework with my friends. Or lie like Amma and say I was helping Grandma buy food. Mommy, I will not lie like Amma. I was playing with my friends, and that is why I'm late.
Homework now. Thank you for not lying to me. Your Calipo is in the fridge.
Calipo, the natural fruit juice drink.
How do you know that?
This advert is FDA approved.
Reverend John Akarbo, a former assembly member of the Yarka community and coordinator of the Yarkadone Women Association. But before 1998, the Yarkadone community is made up with about a little over 800 in population. And among this population, I beg to tell that there was no single literate woman or girl in the community. And the major problem was they were going to open their bank accounts and the bank have to reject them because all the executives were illiterate. And how can they function with the bank things? Hence we decided no. One of their legs is already in the grave. One is alive. When I talk in the grave means that they are already advanced in age and they can no more go back to school to study anything. But that of their daughters, which is still alive, what happens to them? And that's where we made a decisive decision that within the next 10 years, we would like to see female education enhanced, if not only in Yarka, but in the entire environment. I've been able to bring about clinic. There was no health facility in this community. I was able to build a clinic in this community. The Yarka community, which has now been upgraded to a health center, I brought it. I think today, when you move to any single house in Yarka, Zoko, Via, Sumbrongo, Agose, Bonyarga. Anyway, you enter any house at all you enter. The educated person in that house is a female. And as I speak today, we have been able to turn around about 463 girls. Since I started doing my community work to bring change to Yaga community, the entire Yaga community, I think it's over 30 years now. 30 years is not 30 days. But yet, if it's today that people are now seeing what I've done yesterday, is beginning to, people are seeing the impact, the results of it. I think I'm so grateful, and I will pray that, well, whatever it has come, it should go through. But I mean, my